first thing I want to do is I want to talk about how the mainstream media sold it to their audience on how DeSantis did. Let's first start off with New York Times. So 5 takeaways from a rocky 2024 debut New York Times. Number 1, taking risks on Twitter backfired. Okay, cool. DeSantis' campaign launch on Twitter was plagued by technical difficulty, lasting over 25 minutes. The glitches overshadowed his announcement and disappointed supporters. Fine. 2, DeSantis appeals to educated right-wingers. DeSantis resonates more with college-educated Republicans than with those without college degrees. His Twitter event delved into ideological and wonky topics, discussing issues like alternative accreditation regimes and debanking of politically incorrect business. Okay, cool. Number 3, DeSantis indirectly targets Trump. While DeSantis didn't mention Trump by name, he aimed to contrast himself from the former president. He criticized Trump's failure to build a complete border wall and signaled his intention to focus on attacking Trump's personal appointments from his first term. Okay. 4, DeSantis positions himself as a China hawk. DeSantis presented himself as tough on China, focused on countering its influence, territorial expansion, and military ambitions. 5, DeSantis plans broad use of executive power. Okay, so he highlighted his ability to effectively wield power and enact conservative policies as governor of Florida. Boom. Okay, so this is New York Times. Now let's go to WAPO. Again, neither one of these papers are going to be for DeSantis. WAPO, 4 takeaways from DeSantis' launch. Number 1, core argument. He aimed to lead a movement and the Republican Party, distinguishing himself from Trump. Okay. 2, focus on the cultural war. DeSantis aligns with the anti-woke, own the libs ethos of the GOP. 3, inauspicious launch. DeSantis' campaign launch on Twitter Spaces faced technical difficulties, chances and opportunities. DeSantis' timing may not be ideal as Trump has regained his front-runner status. Maybe they're right with that one. Here's another one coming from The Hill. 5 takeaways. Number 1, Twitter's tech misfire undermines DeSantis' central case. Same, we heard it before. Twitter and Trump and Biden united and gloating. We'll talk about that here in a minute. A great night for the other not Trump candidates. Republican contenders positioning themselves against Trump capitalized on DeSantis' messy launch. Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Asa Hutchinson, and even Glenn Youngkin gained opportunities to differentiate themselves from DeSantis. 4, DeSantis tries to repair the damage on Fox News. And 5, DeSantis' stumble comes at the start of a marathon. So this is all the criticism. And then the last one I'll read it, and Tom, I'm going to come to you right after this. WAPO talks about 10 things to know about DeSantis on one he's running on. Number 1, anti-LGBT legislation. 2, feud with Disney. 3, abortion restrictions. 4, restricting African-American studies, diversity programs. 5, expanded gun access. 6, anti-immigration measures. 7, Ukraine remarks. 8, election crimes unit. 9, coronavirus protection. And 10, escalating feud with Trump. Now, having said that, Tom, Vinny, Adam, you guys listen to the Twitter Spaces. What was your biggest takeaway? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it indifferent?
Well, they can talk about their takeaway from actual DeSantis. What I'll talk about is my takeaway from the media coverage. The media is focusing on what happened. They should be terrified that it happened. It happened on Twitter Spaces. You take a look at Elon Musk is not a loser. He's a longtime winner. This is first 5 moves for him of what's going on. This is the legitimacy of Twitter as a major broadcast media player. You remember you see a couple launches, rockets fall, things like that happen, and all of a sudden Starlink has got 4,100 satellites in orbit, and they actually helped Ukraine with internet service during a global war. Bet against Elon Musk if you want, but the rest of this shows that there is a triangle. If you're a conservative candidate in America, you have to beat your liberal candidate and you have to beat the media. And that is what is forming here. You have to beat 2 things. The media is not going to be this hard on Biden. And so what I saw about the media was a bunch of obvious things. Oh, he's going to use executive orders. Well, you want to go back, look at Obama's record on executive orders? It was his favorite tool. So how can you say, oh, DeSantis is going to use executive orders. They all do it when they can't get it through Congress. But I think that the media's coverage here was a bit whiny and a bit hopeful that they could throw some dents at it. And don't bet against Elon Musk.
How do you think he did, though? How do you think he did?
I think sorry, go ahead, Tom.
One sentence from me. I thought it was a real quiet opening. It was a very dour reading for those first minutes, and finally toward the end of it, as he and David Sachs got into a bit of a rhythm on Q&A, he seemed to humanize, and there was really some things there that I thought were good. But the opening I thought was dry. I don't think it was inspiring.
Yeah, well, first of all, because of the glitch, I think it gave people something to talk about. Like, oh my God, everybody here was all tripping out. But I said if it was a SpaceX launch, that moment, that thing would have crashed right when it went up 2 seconds. That thing would have fell down. But in regards to the speech, I think the first couple minutes, it did sound like he was just reading and reading and reading. But then once the paper was down, he's saying, Pat, basically everything that Trump basically has said in the past, correct? Everything with the anti-woke, anti-COVID lockdowns, everything like that.
China.
It's the same thing as Trump. So one has to ask themselves, is he going to get the same treatment as the deep state comes after him, just like they did with Trump? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to have to obviously go after him, Pat. But then what pissed me off about the media, the left, this is how you know you're doing something right for the people and for the country. The racism, they have to come at you with racism. In regard to the Twitter Space event, the Atlantic basically said anybody listening was a Nazi. If you were listening, that you were a Nazi. Vanity Fair said Ron DeSantis will formally announce.
Rob, can you show the Vanity Fair one? It's pathetic.
Yeah, they go, Ron DeSantis will formally announce his 2024 bid with Elon Musk because apparently David Duke wasn't available. That's basically saying Elon's a racist, which I think is BS. And if you think about it, the NAACP, the chairman, they announced a travel warning like it was like terrorism. They're like, Florida is actively hostile to minorities and people should stay away from Florida. But you know the funniest thing is, Pat? The chairman of the NAACP, Leon Russell, guess where he lives? Tampa, Florida. What kind of hypocrite scumbag are you to be sitting in Florida and say, hey, don't come here. They're crazy, but you live here. So it's hypocrite.
Maybe he doesn't want the crazies to come here.
Maybe
so he's kind of like, don't come here. Let's just get the,
he kind of wants it. He kind of wants it all to himself.
Strategic.
Man. Yeah.
Adam.
All right. Well, I broke down this into 5 different sections, and I gave each one a grade just to kind of make this very simple. So Elon Musk, Twitter, everything that happened there, I give them a C-. Clearly, it was not their best day. Clearly, it was not a good look. But welcome to the tech world, ladies and gentlemen. This is how kind of things work sometimes. But the reason they didn't get an F or it's not some disaster, it's like the writing's on the wall. What's the next thing that he tweeted out when he said, all presidential candidates are welcome here on Twitter? How many do you think are going to take him up on that offer? My guess is a bunch, probably not Biden.
Definitely not Biden.
I could see people on the left. I could see RFK doing it. I could see Marianne Williams doing it.
Gavin Newsom will definitely do it.
I don't know about Gavin Newsom, but
I think he would.
I certainly think people on the right. I think at some point Trump's going to succumb to this. At the end of the day, all presidential candidates are most welcome on the platform. Thank you, Elon. As far as DeSantis goes, I think this was actually a good thing for him. Because if there's one thing that DeSantis is a policy wonk, and he knows his stuff. He's very technical, and he knows all his stuff. When we met with him, it was very robotic and sort of systematic, and
politician.
That's who he is.
Politician.
You talked about, which I think is such a good point.
I actually don't think it's politician.
No?
I don't think he's a politician. No, and I'll come back to
okay.
You'll
all
see why.
But I love what you. If we can give the essence of, I think your message to DeSantis is that the gladiator metaphor is that win the people, win your freedom. And I don't think he's there yet. I think he's going to win over smart, college-educated, Rhino, MAGA, even those types of guys. He hasn't won over MAGA or the people yet. So he gets a B. Trump, he gets an A. He gave a response that was hilarious. People say all the time, Trump is so funny. Trump is so funny. No, I think he's entertaining.
Yeah.
I think it's like watching a car wreck sometimes. I'm never laughing out loud.
Yeah.
This was legitimately funny, and I got to give him credit where credit's due. His marketing team puts together this whole thing, which I'm sure we'll play. Hilarious. A for that. We'll play that. Biden, A-. Simple. He put a message out. He said basically, hey, click this link. It actually works. Donate. He raised millions of dollars. Boom. That was it.
Smart.
And then last but not least, my fifth one is the mainstream media. They got a B-. Why? Because they look good on paper. You know, it's kind of like the Lakers in 05. They looked good on paper when they played the Pistons, but then they got their ass whooped. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here, is that more and more people, more and more candidates are going to come to Twitter and not go to mainstream media. So those are my grades for the 5 major players in this matter.
And Pat, can I ask you a question, though? Like, they call the deep state's the deep state because they run deep. Like, you don't think they're going to figure out a way? They have to stop. They're probably going crazy because this was such a successful thing once it came on after the glitch. Because once, you know, in the future, these glitches aren't going to happen. What do you think is it, like, Pat, they're going to have to kind of try to stop this? Because you get to hear this raw, nobody's editing, it's not, because journalism is dead, if you ask me. It's up to you to find the truth. This is just the truth. You're just hearing the person raw. Do you know what I mean?
You mean they're going to have to stop it because what? They're worried
the truth,
that...
because we're getting real-time information that's not censored, it's not biased, it's not Fox, it's not CNN. It's just you're listening to the person, you're getting it raw, they're just giving them the platform.
Well, and Elon mentioned that during the Twitter Spaces, that this is the future. Instead of doing town squares where a few people in your town can go and sit down and talk to the candidate, now anybody on the globe can speak to the candidate.
This is the global town square.
Digital town square. So I'm thinking like that. They have to be going crazy right now because they're like, oh, God, we're getting, you know what I mean, legacy media, all these people. Now this is like raw, right in your face. Nobody's biased. It's just talking to the person directly.
Yeah, you know, right after the thing was over with, I posted the following, okay? My biggest takeaway from the whole thing. I was listening to it on the plane when we landed. We're in New York. We're at the tarmac. I'm about to go to the Yankees game, and I'm listening to this whole thing. And I was able to catch the whole thing simply thanks to them, the technology having some problems. If it was on time, I wouldn't have missed the first 20 minutes. And here's what I got. Number one, Twitter needs to move out of headquarters in California ASAP. ASAP. There is no need for a company to be in a city or a state that doesn't like you or support what you stand for, and you're an enemy and you're down the street from all your direct competitors that want to see more problems for you. So I don't know if that issue that took place was anything that was from the inside, that was tech, that was enemies, that was competitors. I don't know. All I know is Twitter needs to move to Florida or Twitter needs to move to Austin, Texas. One of those two. Obviously, Austin makes more sense because he lives there. But imagine if he actually says, I believe so much in the governor being a president. Imagine Elon Musk making this announcement. I believe so much in the governor being the president of the United States that we are making an announcement that we're moving the headquarters of Twitter to Miami, Florida. Wow. Imagine that announcement to show the kind of support for the governor. Something like that. By the way, if I was DeSantis, I would have negotiated that.
Mayor of Miami, Mayor Suarez would say, how can I help?
Exactly.
That's how people respond. Shout out to Fred
Number
Suarez.
2, credit to Biden and Kamala's marketing campaign. Immediately, they responded and they posted a link. I don't know if you have that said, this link works. So hurry up and go donate.
So smart.
Guess what? Great job to their marketing team.
Exactly.
To their marketing team. Not to Biden, not to Kamala, to their marketing team. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. Let's see how many likes it got. It had to have a lot of likes. 121,000 likes, okay? That's great. So people go there, contribute.
13.8 million views.
I love it. Yeah. This is the right move as an enemy, as a competitor. Capitalize off the mistakes of the opposition. 3, whether this becomes successful launch or not for Ron DeSantis, this is the future. So by the way, for me, a part of the call I listened to when they were making an announcement, all I thought about to myself was, in many cases, Rob, if you can go back to the other tweet, in many cases, it was almost as if Musk and Sachs were selling Twitter just as much as they were selling DeSantis. And if I was even to put a ratio of what that was really all about, I put 60% DeSantis, I put 40% Twitter. The selling of it was, this is the direction. I didn't see it as a form of an endorsement. I saw it as a form of we are here, we're the future. That's kind of how it was sold. So kudos to those guys for what they did. By the way, I don't know who came up with the idea and who sold it to the other person, but whoever that did sell it to the other person, respect to you, brilliant move.
And Pat, you wouldn't say, though, at that point, because of that move and that first time, and that they wouldn't be like voting for DeSantis, Elon, and
they've made it clear. They've spoken. If you speak sign language, they've given plenty of signs that they don't want to vote for Trump. At least Musk has. We don't want a president above 70 years old. We don't. Want, he's made it very clear. You're going to say. You're trying to say something.
Trump has called out DeSantis. I'm sorry. He's called out Elon Musk before.
Yeah. Okay.
You want Elon on your side. By the way, David Sachs. What's his role exactly at Twitter?
David Sachs is probably Musk's most trusted advisor and friend.
Right-hand man.
One of the most.
Absolutely.
So David Sachs, I was very impressed. One of the things I like about this guy, and I think he needs to get more involved. He is pretty active, but I think he needs to get even more active. He's calm, he's poised, he's a great host on a call like this. I was just very impressed by him on the way he handled. Listen, in a situation like that, when shit's hitting the fan, people don't know how to handle themselves. You got millions of people that are watching you, dying to criticize your platform, and it's just cool, calm, and collected. Very impressive. 5, mainstream media will have the initial laugh. They're long term, they're not going to have to laugh. They may as well go buy a plot. They're going to be. There's cemeteries coming soon, Rob. If you can pull that up here for people to see.
Amen
6,
to that.
DeSantis was reading a script. I kind of think that's boring.
Agree.
Sell me the dream. Tell me a story. Tell me why America's the greatest country in the world. Sell me the dream and the nightmare. The only thing I heard was the nightmare. You're not going to win just selling the nightmare. Sell me the dream as well. There's an element of selling the nightmare. Yes, this is a great season to sell the nightmare. But tell me what's going to happen if you're in there. Let me tell you, our dreams are going to become a reality. We're going to talk about the dream language. 0 dream language on the call at all. 7, Trump needs to schedule his next Twitter Live as soon as possible. I think it'll be the biggest one in the history of Twitter. I think it'll be 5 times bigger than this one. I think before they do Trump's, they best do it outside of the state of California. They better do it in a place where the servers and the state is backing them up. A place to do it out of would be Texas, because Florida is obviously going to favor DeSantis. Texas is going to be a little bit more moderate between DeSantis and Trump. 8, Musk was just as big as a star as DeSantis was. I made that point already. 9, he told one joke about the congressman's license plate from Kentucky. And it was actually a decent joke. The reason why I like that is because this shows you can tell jokes. You can be witty. Do more of it. You only did it one time in an hour and 15 minutes. If you can tell, maybe increase it. If I'm talking to the guy, I'm going to say one joke every 10 minutes, okay? Try to break the ice or make people laugh or be witty once every 10 minutes. And once every 10 minutes, give maybe once every 15 minutes, self-deprecate yourself a little bit. Once every 15 minutes. That's a basic rule. One joke every 10, 15 minutes, one self-deprecation thing every 10, 15 minutes. You sound too perfect. 10.
Vinny, by the way, you open to being his comic coach?
100%.
For DeSantis? He needs some help.
I will do it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
There's a difference with the audio-only format versions. This kind of it's easier to lose the audience when you're doing something where I can't see your face. You got to tell stories. Storytelling matters. Tell a couple stories. Don't just go, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. No. I would take 20 of all the policies that he has, okay? 20 policies. And I would have my team around, and I would have 5 to 10 stories under each one of these policies to say, let me tell you about Marianne Jones. She lives in Tallahassee, Florida. When I was meeting them, she was 32 years old, single mother with 2 kids, and here's what took place. Tell me stories for me to go there. 11. Rob, go up. At the end, he showed his edge, which I freaking loved. The fight came out a little bit. It was good. He was competitive. Americans love a competitor. And then super slow start, but a great, strong finish. And last but not least, man, I applaud these guys for doing this. This was a big risk. To be the first to do this, it's a very, very, very risky. Elon won last night, 2 nights ago. We would have done it last night. I was out of town. Elon won. DeSantis won. Twitter won. Digital media won. Mainstream media got destroyed. You know what they look like and sound like? Here's what you look and sound like, just so you know. I know you don't know this. It's like that group of arrogant elite kids in school that went to the parties from the rich families, and they would laugh in the way, ha, 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 ha. You sound like a moron, qualified moron, insecure, shitless, because if, God forbid, mainstream media gets destroyed and you don't have a teleprompter, what the hell are you going to do without a teleprompter? What the hell are you going to do without those writers? In this space, there is no teleprompter. You have to be able to collect and talk, give your thoughts, opinions, host, banter, be wrong, risk screwing it up, and none of those things do you guys like, most of you. There's a few of you guys that do a great job. I like Tapper. I like few of the guys out there that are doing what they're doing. I agree. But for the most part, mainstream media, you got maybe 3, 5 years, if you're lucky, 10 years, numbers came back the other day how, it went from 2016 was 70% of people watching cable to now it's 40%.
40%. Wow.
A drop that massive in 7 years. What do you think the drop's going to be in the next 3 to 5 years? Because here's how a drop goes. Drop goes like this. You're here right now. You haven't yet. You know how you go up the Viper or whatever these rides are on Magic Mountain. You're like, and then
you're barely coming down.
And then everybody,
and then boom, it goes. So they're here right now. It's about to go,
and everybody screams.
Everybody screams. Except these guys are going to be crying because they're not as tough as they act like they are.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.